I was always quite skinny growing up. I played a lot of sports. I didn't have any muscle at all, really. I was just kind of like skinny. And I'd always kind of want to have like that shredded, like lean, attractive physique. And after consuming, God, hundreds of hours of fitness content on YouTube, this was the result. I was 21% body fat. I had very little muscle. I wasn't that consistent in the gym. I didn't have any visible abs, and I was getting desperate. I needed to make the change, and that was the kick up the arse that I really needed. Luckily, just 10 weeks later, I was able to clean things up. I was able to drop about 8% body fat, and that was 18 pounds of weight. And I had the visible abs that I'd wanted for so long. And in this video, I'm going to give you my honest advice to you as someone looking to get in shape and achieve a similar physique. Getting shredded is like building a fire. You don't start by chucking on all the huge logs. You start with a tiny flame and a little bit of kindling, and you give it room to grow. If you pile too much on too soon, you smother it and it just dies out. But if you build it up gradually, then eventually you'll have a fire that grows slow and steady. And it's exactly the same with getting in shape. So point one is starting small. Now, when I was trying to get into the gym for the first time, I'd hear about all these like bodybuilding programs where, you want to train like 6 or 7 times a week. And used to be a competition between friends, like who can train like the most days in a row. And it kind of got a bit out of hand, and we didn't really know what we were doing. And I could never stay consistent because I was like, if I can't go like 6 times a week, then what's the point? Like, I'm not going to make any progress. And it wasn't until I found about another way that things actually started to change for me. And that was when I discovered a guy called Kino Body on YouTube, who was preaching about training 3 times a week for just 45 minutes to an hour at a time and building strength that way. And something kind of clicked in my mind, and I thought, you know what, that's actually a lot more achievable. I would just train like Monday, Wednesday, Friday around work, and then I could have my weekends off. And that was like my low barrier to entry. And without lowering that bar, I don't think I would have ever got consistent in the first place, and I'd still be in the position that I was in, just always thinking about going to the gym and always having like these excuses in my head. But now I love going to the gym, and it's something which I look forward to all the time. And I'm able to go like 5 or 6 times a week now for an hour and a half at a time. But without lowering that bar, then it would have never happened in the first place. And it was kind of the same with nutrition as well. I used to think that when you're starting a diet plan, you want to have like 21 meals, all different for like every day of the week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and just kind of go at it straight away. But again, it's just not the case. It's too much too soon, like fire. It's like chucking the big logs on. So I just focused on starting with nailing my breakfast first and then building on from that. Trying to get in better shape without doing this next thing is like throwing a dart at a dartboard in the dark. Sure, you might hit the target, but most of the time you're probably going to miss and give up. If someone came up to 21-year-old Kieran and asked me, oh, yeah, how much are you weighing at the moment? What was your starting weight? How much are you bicep curling at the moment? What cardio are you doing every week? I would have had absolutely no idea. And that leads me to point number two, which is tracking the numbers. And what I've learned is that data is king, and what is measured gets managed. And, what is managed is what you're able to make progress on. Now, there were four specific free apps that really helped me out. The first one is the Remfo app. These came with my smart scales that measure body composition. If you have a different brand, then there'll be a different app, but you want an app that basically measures your body composition and goes onto your phone so that you can basically input all the data onto a Google Sheet or other document and keep track of the progress. And it turns into a game. And for me, this was so motivating, day by day, seeing my progress rather than waiting for the next week or even the next month to purely rely on what I was seeing in the mirror. The next app I used was the Strong app, and that was to track my lifts at the gym. This was something I never used to do. I used to just turn up to the gym and just try and remember what I did last time. And it was just a guessing game. And there was just no tricking whatsoever. Eventually, I moved on to the iPhone notes, just on my phone, just putting in the exercise, weight, and reps. I did that for a while. And then a mate of mine showed me this app, which is called the Strong app. And again, this really changed things for me because I was able to track a lot easier my progress. And again, it just turned into a game, like trying to beat your last score. I do have the premium version. On the free version, you can have up to 3 templates. So if you're doing like a push-pull legs split, for example, you can have one of each. But if you want to have like other, say, templates on there, you'll have to upgrade to the premium, which is only about $40 for the year, which I think is well worth it. Next is some kind of step app to track cardio. Now, the iPhone does actually track steps with an inbuilt app. I got an app called like the Steps app or something like that. And it's basically put it into a nicer like interface. It looked kind of cool. And it would track like your weekly and averages and stuff like that. But just any app or even device to track your steps, like a Fitbit, Garmin watch, those kinds of things. Because the cardio which I was doing was 10,000 steps per day. I wasn't doing anything else. So I needed a way to track that and know that I was doing enough each day. And lastly was MyFitnessPal to track calories. Now, I know a lot of people roll their eyes when they hear tracking calories, and it's not forever. It's just temporary. If you've never counted calories before, I highly recommend doing it for even just a couple weeks. And there is a way where you just track calories once and don't have to do it ever again, which I'll speak about. So you just want to scan the barcodes of the foods that you're having on the packaging. It will just have a barcode. And then you use the app and it will bring up all the calories and the macros. And you basically like kind of create a meal plan from there. And counting calories is not necessary, but it will speed things up, man. And if you really don't like counting calories, then my biggest diet tip is to just eat like a dog, which basically means you eat the same meals every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you have 3. And if you just have the same things, then you don't have to keep tracking it because you can just input it every day and you know it's just going to be the same. And then you just keep an eye on your scale weight. And if that's coming down nicely, then you know you don't have to change anything. But if suddenly you hit a stall and your weight isn't changing, that's when you know that you need to make a small adjustment to those meals, and then you can carry on with your progress. And that does move us on nicely to point number 3, which is just having the same meals all the time. It makes everything so much easier, and the less decisions you have to make, the better. I'm sure you've had it where you've tried dieting down before, and each day you get into the kitchen, you're pretty hungry and you're thinking to yourself, oh, like, what should I have? What do I have in the fridge? And it's just a lot of wasted mental energy, to be honest. And the easiest thing you can do is just eat the same thing. And even better is meal prepping them. So instead of going through all those decisions and then eventually just grabbing a snack because you can't wait for some food, you already have it in the fridge ready to go. You just bang it in the microwave for 2 minutes and there's your perfect macro meal, and you saved yourself from ruining your calorie deficit with a sugary snack. But what about variety? People always tell me when I recommend this, and they say variety is the spice of life, but it's also the killer of progress. And I talk about this a lot in the Fight Club physique program, when I'm taking you through step by step how to build your own custom meal plan. The new calorie to protein ratio is 9.1%. which is way better. We've managed to increase this from 6.5% to 9.1%. And this is for the same meal. It's still spaghetti bolognese. So we've added 23 grams of protein for only 90 extra calories, which is the equivalent of a scoop of whey protein. And once you've got it set up, then you can just switch your brain off and blindly follow it. And it will make things so much easier for your 12-week transformation, and you'll make so much more progress. And in my mind, when it comes to shredding down, variety is the enemy and boring is the new meta, for now at least. Once you've got your shredded physique and you've achieved your goal, then you can start treating yourself and, be a bit more easygoing, because maintenance is far easier than change. So if you can just stick to one plan, one training plan, one nutrition plan for 12 weeks, your life will change forever and you'll get the result that you finally want. And all that to say, you want to keep it simple, keep it boring, and keep track. If you like this video, you might also like this video on how to get shredded and stay shredded in as little as 60 days. See you next time.